When I started with Halo, I quickly found that I had neither the skill nor the means to model, animate, and texture things. My first pathetic effort at sprucing up the plasma rifle was mediocre at best in all of those aspects. The effects, however, were easily the most fun and the best looking portion of that little project, and ever since, my little niche in modding Halo, along with some basic weapon development, has been adding and improving particle effects. The biggest improvements are seen almost exclusively on the Covenant side of things, for a number of reasons. Fire is fire and smoke is smoke. Human weapons and devices not only provide few avenues for creativity, but replicating the expected behavior of those things requires considerable effort. The Covenant weapons, conversely, have few to no real-world counterparts, meaning I can do just about anything with them, allowing me to spend less effort trying to mimic what already exists, and instead focus on creating something new and exciting. Covenant effects consist of a combination of 4 different effect types: energy, smoke, electricity, and sparks. The energy portion is most easily seen in the plasma beam, the smoke is most prominent in the plasma rifle, the electricity is the focus of the plasma pistol, and the plasma spread deals with sparks. The needle weapons follow a similar philosophy, with the needler using energy, the impaler using electricity, and the eviscerator using smoke. All of these effects, of course, don't just use one effect style exclusively, but centering these weapons around a certain style gives them a unique identity, injecting variety and providing a slight gameplay benefit in that you can immediately tell what gun is going off by looking at it. Like the weapons themselves, the goal is to give each set of effects a unique personality while still retaining a consistent overall theme. I'd like to finish by providing the first in a series of weapon profiles. While basically just more gameplay footage, each one will provide in-depth information on their behavior and effect design. This time I'll be covering what's easily my favorite set of particle effects, the plasma pistol. The plasma pistol is probably the weapon that's changed the least from its original behavior. Standard fire is fairly quick and accurate, but the projectiles themselves are slow and weak, doing just a little less damage than the single assault rifle bullet. It's competent but not outstanding. Being the most ubiquitous weapon in the game, this makes it an excellent backup in case you run out of ammo at a rather undesirable time. Its uniqueness and effectiveness, however, comes from its charge shot. It sucks up a tenth of the battery and does minimal damage on its own, taking about 2 hits to kill a grunt, but homes in and instantly depletes any kind of energy shield. Followed up with a headshot weapon or a needler, this can be devastating, capable of cutting down entire squads of elites and jackals in mere seconds. Its particle effects are centered around a combination of blue-green energy and electricity, with sparks emitting from impacts. The muzzle flash remains unchanged from Plasma Pack 2, but every other effect has been completely reworked. The overcharging loop has been shrunk a bit so that it doesn't take up the entire screen, and the sprite has been replaced with a more amorphous blob. This combines with a lens flare to give the impression of a highly concentrated center of energy which begins to fade and falter around the edges. The impact is a simple impact sprite combined with an electric arc and an explosion of sparks and energy orbs, while the charge shot adds more sparks, more orbs, some electric bolts, and a fading smoke emanating out of an attached energy core. The projectile itself is coated in electricity and now has a much less resource-intensive and much less over-designed trail. The most complex, involved, and, in my opinion, best-looking effect is the overheating sequence. When the flap opens up, a light green smoke emits to indicate the dissipation of heat, along with energy orbs for consistency and variety's sake. Straight electric bolts link the indention across the gun, acting as a sort of energy stream. This was, in fact, a complete accident. I had initially intended for the bolts to just stick out in all directions, similar to the charge shot's impact, but forgot to enter the field, giving the particles a random orientation. Instead, they all oriented along the same direction. This looked much neater than my original design, so I kept it. Of course, many bolts were too high and several stuck out of the edges, but some slight modification resulted in what you see here. Next up will be another weapon profile, maybe 2 if I have enough time and patience. Keep watching the channel or thread for updates every Wednesday.